The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Well, here we are again, and this is looking like a pretty lopsided matchup, Jim.
That's right, Ron. I mean, in one corner, we've got a 175-pound guy, and in the other, a 6,000-ton heavyweight train?
Jim, this guy has no idea what he's getting himself into.
Ron, the size difference alone is staggering.
Oh, unbelievable, Jim. And this guy is acting like he doesn't have a care in the world.
What is this guy thinking, Ron?
Well, this is one of those rare moments where I actually find myself at a loss for words.
I can hardly bear to watch.
It's no contest. Every day, people tempt fate and die trespassing on railroad tracks. Railroad tracks are more dangerous than you think. See tracks, think train. For more safety tips and information, visit ctracksthinktrain.org.
JP here. Everyone here at ESPN Pensacola wants to send a shout out to our first responders and healthcare workers at this time. We know it's tough, but we appreciate the work you put day in and day out. We also want to thank our essential workers out there for helping all of us continue to live our lives as normal as possible in this time. For our community, keep rocking it. We are going to get through this. Remember, we were named the #1 strong town in America. That wasn't by accident. We have seen so many people step up and do their part, and we thank all those people for their efforts. We will be stronger for this, and together, we will beat COVID-19.
Join ESPN Pensacola, along with Cat Country 98.7, for the second Cat Country Cares for Kids Radiothon for the Studer Family Children's Hospital on Friday, August 21st. Wind Creek Hospitality will match donations up to $20,000. Brent and Candy will have stories of bravery and inspiration from local kids and families who have benefited from the care and expertise of the hospital's highly trained physicians and staff. All funds raised during this year's event will support the Bear Family Foundation Pediatric Oncology Center of Hope, the region's only pediatric oncology center. Thank you to our champion sponsor, Gulf Winds Credit Union.
It's time for another edition of Well Now You Know in Pensacola sports history. Baseball dates back to Pensacola to 1890 with the original team, the Pensacola Dudes. It grew even bigger when the Pensacola Flyers drew in big crowds. They would play their games at Fort Pickens and Legion Field, which was located downtown. And the fans were in for a treat. In 1928, the New York Yankees, with players like Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, had a chance to come to Pensacola to play the Flyers as part of a Southern spring training tour. Over 3,000 fans turned out for a game that, yes, the Yankees did win 12-2. Legion Field eventually moved to Admiral Mason Park in 1952 on 9th Avenue in Bayfront, named after Charles P. Mason, the Vice Admiral of the Navy and a huge baseball fan. As almost 70 years later, the baseball tradition continues with the Blue Wahoos downtown. This has been another edition of Well Now You Know in Pensacola sports history. I'm Chad Brilliante.
This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM. Pensacola's home for hometown sports. Your home to talk football with Coach K. Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante and Sports Call with Davis Allen. If you'd like to partner with ESPN Pensacola or become a sponsor, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola.
Welcome in to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach K. Stevenson this Monday afternoon. Hopefully you had a great weekend. I know I did. Can't complain here. Look, obviously we have plenty to talk about when it comes to football. Hopefully you're staying safe, washing your hands, continuing to social distance. Got a lot to get to today. As we always start off our show, we'll continue to do so. Look, I want to thank our first responders and healthcare workers, all those frontline workers out there. Thank you guys so much. What you do is awesome, first off. It is amazing the fact that you put yourself out there on the front lines each and every day, and we appreciate the heck out of you. I want to make that very clear. We are blessed to live in a community where we have so many great police officers, firefighters, EMT personnel, nurses, doctors, all those folks, and having friends and family on both sides of all this here, hearing the support that they're getting from the community, the listeners out there, you guys, that is just awesome. And I think we are living in a special area. It's not the case everywhere else. You can obviously turn on the TV and tell things are not, well, the same here. But it is what it is. And you know what? We are just so gracious for you folks. And if you're listening right now, I know a couple of you are. Thank you. And hopefully we can, get your mind off a little bit of what's going on with COVID-19. While we're thanking folks, by the way, I do want to say this. Grocery store employees, truck drivers, all the essential workers, thank you guys as well. We thank the, obviously, first responders and healthcare workers, but you guys deserve a thanks as well because you're out there, going to the grocery stores. You see these folks wearing masks, having different protocols, wiping down buggies, whatever it may be for you. These guys don't want to do that any more than you do. So that's why, look, is obviously health reasons aside here. If you can throw on a mask, please do so. When you're out and about, you're going to be around other people, throw on a mask. Let's not make a big deal about this. This is not a political statement. This is to protect everyone in all this. And look, we're doing a good job here in Pensacola. Maybe I shouldn't say that because maybe it's too soon, but I think we're doing a great job right now. Everybody is doing a fantastic job. We're going to get through this thing, and you know what? We're going to get back to somewhat of normalcy, maybe a little bit before we can use the word normal, but, well, normalcy is what we'll stick with. But first things first, Coach, how are you doing today, my friend?
Doing well, JP. I also send out my thanks to all the people that you just talked about. And as always, wish we had a lot longer to talk about them.
Absolutely. We could talk for hours and days upon days on things like this. And, it's great to see those folks out there. If you're going through a COVID-19 drive-through, don't forget those folks either. Let them know that you appreciate them because they're also ones that are helping us in this time right now with the healthcare workers and everybody that's volunteering out there. Thank you guys so much. But look, Coach, I'm going to jump into this. Obviously, a couple things here. Escambia will make the decision today on whether they are going to or when they are going to start the high school football season. Obviously, the FHSAA, we talked about that on Friday, decided that they're going to leave it up to the schools, that they can start practice on August 24th and start games early to mid-September. From what Escambia has kind of talked about, just from rumors I'm hearing, obviously. These are just rumors. This is not anything, that is concrete yet. We'll see what happens. Late September is kind of what I feel. And obviously Tallahassee over there to our east has decided they're going to start in late September. We have a lot of teams here that play district games over there in Tallahassee. So we'll see what happens, but they're going to make that decision later on today. Another decision, some dates. We've been waiting. Look, we've got the SEC schedule. We're hearing some of these coaches are obviously upset, which is probably teams like Vanderbilt and Arkansas that are upset of who they got in the whole jumble of teams added to their schedule there. But tonight at 6 p.m. on the SEC network, SEC will release its dates, which means now we'll have a full schedule in the order that it is going to be and what date it is going to be. Remember, we were starting the last week in September there, so we're going to get that at 6 o'clock. Feinbaum, we host the Feinbaum show here on ESPN Pensacola. He'll reveal Week 1 schedule at 2 o'clock today. So 2 o'clock, you can check out the Feinbaum show. He is going to release the Week 1 schedule. He won't release the whole schedule, but Week 1. So there you go. That is what it is. And, Coach, I'm going to jump into something here that obviously garnered a lot of attention, not just down here in the South, but nationally, because it seems everybody is wanting to find reasons to not play college football. And you know what? I'm not trying to stir anything up. I'm just saying it is what it is, obviously. But when we look at this, the FSU situation, now Warren Thompson tweeted out he didn't feel safe, that the school was lying, and they were hiding things and all this, that, and whatever. Look, if you're an FSU fan, you already knew about it. If you're a college football fan, I'm sure you read the story as well. With that being said, Warren Thompson has issued an apology. Well, how about that? Norvell came out, remember, after this and was like, listen, we've hid nothing from anybody. We've went through all our testing. We've done all this by the book and followed the protocols. So with this being said, Warren Thompson said, playing football with Florida State University, my coaching staff and teammates, is exactly what I want to do. He said, with all the fear in the world, the confusion and concerns regarding this matter may cloud judgment on this, a rising problem in this country. My apologies on comments earlier this week that did not accurately depict my feelings towards this program and its leadership. Today, I'm grateful for the diligent efforts from myself and Coach Norvell to move forward. I am hopeful that this will be a great season of Seminole football. I am also confident in Coach Norvell and the future ahead of us. Coach, this is something we talked about. It's kind of odd because remember the whole ordeal of, the social justice, and, Marvin Wilson came out and said, no, he didn't talk to us when Norvell said he talked to the team, and Norvell was like, hey, I apologize. He's right. I didn't talk to all of them. I talked to a couple of them. That's my fault on that. And the whole team rallied around that whole thing. But this was interesting because a couple wide receivers had complained, and the rest of the team was like, wait, what? No, we haven't had any problems. So, Coach, this is kind of what we thought may happen here. But once again, this is something that is becoming a problem. Now, what I mean by that is the amount that these guys have when it comes to power and social media. This Norvell could have easily lost his job. I mean, he very well could have lost his job, even if this came out maybe later on that it wasn't true. This could be, especially when you're talking about a pandemic and testing protocols and hiding things, that's grounds for firing somebody when you're talking about the health of the students. I'm glad it didn't come to that. I'm glad that FSU, weighed their options and they talked about this thing and they worked it out. But, Coach, this could have been way worse than what it was.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And it's just ridiculous that in this day and time we allow things that should never be outside of a locker room. Now, this has gone on for years and years and years, something people don't realize. There are issues that are taken up within the clubhouse, within the dressing room, if you know what it means. You stayed within the coaches and teammates and their football team. And there are many things that can be discussed, talked about, bet about individually and groups and with the team that don't go outside the dressing room doors. And you don't have the problems if you have that firmly in place as a part of your football team that everybody understands. And it's amazing what a big part of a winning football team that has to be. Nowadays, it's so difficult because they all want to chatter on social media. Well, to me, it's just ridiculous. I think you've got to have, and I think this will happen at FSU as they go on. And I keep in mind that I'm jumping a little bit here, but I want to throw something out about that FSU program. Norvell went in down there to a very, very undisciplined, disrupted football team. And it was tough to have to go in and make any changes at all, much less the necessary changes that have to happen for you to win. So he's having to go through that. A football team's having to go through that. And I'll promise you, they don't like it. There's no doubt they don't like it. But it has to be the case if you're going to win. Now, he's having to walk on eggs a little bit right now. But I can promise you, as things go into the future, he will have the winning edge, and that will give him the trust and so on to lay down some specific do's and don'ts that will be a much different football team and how they approach things like this in the future. That's my sermon on the mount here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Coach. We talked about that last week. This could have been look, there's a lot of rules that are in place now that wasn't there. And this is not, I'm not bashing Willie Taggart. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. What I'm saying, it was a terrible fit at Florida State. Okay, look, we had Willie Taggart, and I've said before, I'm an Oregon fan, even though I've jumped over to the Florida Gators this year. We'll see what happens. But I had Taggart at Oregon, and there was a lot of things at Oregon that, was questionable in what he did. But you know what? It is what it is, because ultimately people want to see you win football games. And if you want players to believe in you, let's get on the field and let's see this in action. And for Florida State, remember, they were the most penalized team in college football. They had a lot of problems off the field. They had a lot of problems on the field. You were watching guys take plays off. Even players came out and admitted they took plays off. There just wasn't that fire that we were used to seeing, even when Jimbo Fisher was there. So with that being said, Willie Taggart's gone now. A lot of these guys have went a couple years without some of that discipline. And now Norvell's coming in there. And remember, Norvell's first interview, he basically said, look, things are going to change around here. There's going to be a lot of things that a lot of guys maybe they don't like or they're not used to, but that's what it's going to take to win football games here, and that's why I'm here. And what he did at Memphis, people need to understand. And look, I'm not saying Norvell's going to win national championships day in and day out. I have no idea. We've seen guys like this work out, but what I'm saying is what he's doing is definitely a move in the right direction if you're a Florida State fan. And that's what you want. You want discipline right now. You need that program to get back on track. And you've got guys like Marvin Wilson, by the way, I will say this, who's a very outspoken collegiate player and one of the best in the country. Look, Big Marv is going to go in the first round in the NFL draft, barring some unforeseen injury. This man is the real deal, and he has gotten behind Coach Norvell. Even when they had their little spat, he came back and said, look, me and Coach talked about it. We got it figured out. We're ready to move forward. Let's do this thing. I believe in Coach Norvell, and that's all you need right there. And now, obviously, there's going to be guys that don't get behind him. They don't like because he's pushing them to a limit. Maybe they have never been pushed before. Understand these guys come from all walks of life, from their high schools and things like this. Guys were maybe not – they were kind of lackadaisical in practices last year at games. We saw that. It showed on the field. But with Coach Norvell, what he's doing right here, this is a definite move in the right direction, and hats off to Coach Norvell for coming out when this was said. A lot of guys may have backtracked and said, well, we'll see what's going on. Coach Norvell said, we've had nothing. These guys, we're transparent. We meet with these guys. We talk with these guys. We tell these guys, if you even think that something's wrong, to come tell us, and let's go ahead and get you tested and get you figured out and what we got to do moving forward. So hats off if you're a Florida State fan. Look, hopefully some of that drama, which you've had quite the drama this offseason, is gone now. But, Coach, talking about some more drama here, look, Ohio State's Justin Fields. Now, the Big Ten saying, obviously, they're postponing their season, not sitting well with a lot of people. And it's funny because everybody said, yep, just a Southern thing. They're just going to play football no matter what. And it's finding out that some mamas and daddies are pretty upset, too, because the way this situation was handled by the Big Ten. And I will say this, by the way, just throw this out there for the folks that are like, oh, well, the SEC is just going to play regardless. The Big Ten didn't even let their players know. They found out by social media. First off, I know maybe I'm old school on this, Coach. I hate that. I think the first people that should know before it's ever released is the coaches and the players. That way they can prepare themselves as well, not finding out on social media. How hard is it to hold a decision until you literally meet with everybody and say, this is what we're going to do. Guys, look, this is going to be coming out in just a little bit. Our season's going to be postponed. We're going to try to work it in the spring. We'll see. Regardless with that, right now Justin Fields has started a movement, obviously the We Want to Play movement. We know that. Guys have been tweeting out, and Big Ten players, Big Ten parents have delivered messages, handwritten letters to the office in Chicago for the Big Ten. Regardless, though, Justin Fields, I thought, has done a great job with this because he wants to play football. And remember, there's something to be said about this, Coach. Justin Fields has truly nothing really to gain because he's going to be drafted in the first round. He's a hot commodity when you talk to a lot of these people here. If playing football, if anything, could hurt him when it comes down to it. But he wants to play, and hats off to him, by the way. But he was asked today on the morning show, obviously, with Keyshawn Johnson-Zubin and Jay Williams about some of the things that are going on. And Jay Williams asked him about, well, what about the potential long-term impact coronavirus could have on athletes, particularly with lung or heart issues? And he had a great answer. He said, I think COVID-19 brings a risk to everybody. But the question I would like to ask you is, would we be more safe on campus playing football or off campus doing whatever we want? He said, COVID people could contract it anywhere, but for me personally, I feel safer at the facility around my teammates. He said, knowing my teammates will be tested twice a week. This is the safest environment for me and my teammates. I think I would argue at the facility my teammates are safer than just being out and about. He goes, we know what we have to do, and we're ready to do it. Coach, I think with everything going on right now, Justin Fields, him and Trevor Lawrence have done a great job this offseason kind of being leaders for college football, and that was a perfect answer, and it's what you've been saying all along.
Well, it was, and it's truthful, very truthful. And these kids know it. Their parents know it. And I don't understand why the true question has not been answered yet. And that is, how would we handle sending these players home? And they're much more likely to contract the virus in a home-type setting, on the streets, than they would be here. How do they handle that? And the after effect, the problem with the heart, is a problem anywhere, anytime that you contract the virus. It's not because you play football and you will have the heart problem if you get the virus because you play football. That's not the case. If you have to get the virus to contract the heart problem. So avoiding the virus is the big thing. Let me throw out one other problem here, a little problem with college. Colleges are going to have to overcome. Now, you know, I am totally optimistic about college football. I've said this for a long time, and the big boys would play. The problem they're going to run into is when they put all those students on campus, JP, they've got to find some way. It's not going to sit well with the academicians because they took athletic dorms away in the past and don't want the separation and so on. But they're going to have to find some way to keep the athletes out of the flow of all the other students on campus. Now, that means private dining halls, it means private living facilities, and so on. They're just going to have to do it if they want to keep everything perfectly clean. And you might mention the new tests that sounds like they're coming along that will give them even more versatility with the testing process, especially in colleges. So if they make those changes, improvements to their environment, and with the better, less expensive testing that is going to be available to them, this could be a no-brainer. But anyway, they need to line up, get all these things in place, and play.
Yeah, you're right. And, we got to take a quick break, Coach, and when we come back, we'll talk about that new test. This could be a big game changer. Now, the NBA has been using it a little bit. It just got passed, by the FDA on Saturday. So this could be a big-time game changer when we're talking about testing these players and testing at even a higher rate, because we obviously know a lot of these schools, and we'll talk about a school like South Alabama coming up. It's tough. The money is just not there like some of these big boys that can do this testing. So we'll talk about that. And something you mentioned, by the way, Coach, is the problem is these players with people being on campus. Yeah, Auburn player, a couple of them tweeted about the lack of masks that are being worn on campus. And that's true. We're seeing it on a couple campuses around. Obviously, these students, and this is being twisted however you want to twist it. But the way that when I was looking at it, these Auburn players are tweeting this of, look, if we want to play football this fall, you guys want to come watch, you want this, we got to throw on a mask. Like, this is not going to work. So you're right, though. How this is going to work, these guys are going to have to be kind of quarantined in their own facilities and things like that, away from these students. I don't know why they got rid of the dorms and everything, but it is what it is. It's not anything to do with me. But look, when we come back, we'll talk about the new testing as well as ACC is eyeing Liberty. What is Liberty doing right now? Well, probably not something very well. We'll talk about all that more when we come back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
Well, I finally did it. I opened a 401k.
What? Why? Just wait for the inheritance. We've definitely got a rich uncle somewhere. We're one call away from the winner's circle at the Derby, dinners with multiple forks, a vacation home in the country, using summer as a verb.
You don't actually think that, do you?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs, the Florida Society of CPAs, and the Ad Council.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom... Oh, dilly dilly. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
Locally owned, ADX Communications is currently accepting applications for a lifestyle talk show host on News Radio 92.3 AM 1620. The position is part-time, Monday through Friday, and requires knowledge of our Escambia and Santa Rosa listening area and lifestyles. Schedule and perform on-air interviews with guests involved in local businesses, civic activities, nonprofits, arts, and entertainment. Send resumes to HR at newsradio1620.com. ADX is an equal opportunity employer.
Hey, what's up? Chad here from the Sports Drive. Well, we're into August, that first time that we start to feel the flow for football season.
Foosball.
Like getting ready to run out of the tunnel to a song like Enter Sandman. Might be a little different this year. Probably no smoke, social distance away from the people, as you might get cheered on by virtual fans.
You can do it!
But overall, we're excited, and we'll keep you posted with the latest updates from high school, college, and the NFL. Join myself, Chad Brillante, and JP right here on the Sports Drive, 5 to 7 on ESPN Pensacola.
Hey, this is Jay Williams. You're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you, alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Monday afternoon. Now, hope you're doing well. Stop me if you've heard this before. We have some breaking news when it comes to testing and the coronavirus. Obviously, not really breaking if you've been following it this weekend. But I will say, look, Coach, we've talked about this. We've been optimistic with everything going on. This makes me even more optimistic. Now, obviously, we know things can change on a dime, but I'm going to stay positive on this. And look, good news here. This is great news, actually. Ever heard of Saliva Direct? Well, most people have not, and there's probably a reason you shouldn't. First off, it sounds weird, but regardless, the US FDA approved Saliva Direct on Saturday. What is this you're talking about? Okay, well, we'll talk about how this can be a major game changer. Coach, we already kind of touched on it earlier. It's a saliva test. Now, you don't have to stick a stick up. If you've already gotten coronavirus testing, the whole stick up your nose thing, I can't imagine. That's just like yikes. But anyway, you don't have to do that anymore. It's a saliva test. The second positive on this is obviously it costs about $10. So we're talking about, instead of costing about $100 a test, it's about $10. Now, and I'm just giving you kind of the rundown, and not all the details here, but when you talk about that, that is obviously 10 tests for what you normally do one for. How about that? We're talking about smaller colleges. That's great news. The other part of this, you can get these tests within 24 hours, less than 24 hours, and in fact, if you're near these labs, you can get them back in a few hours. That's awesome. The other thing here is 88 to 94% accurate. And for some people saying, well, wait a minute. The coronavirus tests we have now are about the same, if not less, okay? How many false positive things we're getting? Just saying. That's about the same there. That's great. That is great news. Coach, when we look at this, you could take a test twice, if you're testing your players 2 or 3 or 4 times a week, whatever it is, we'll just say you're testing them twice. You spend $20 for a player instead of $200 on that player. And if you need to test more, you can, because guess what? It's about $10 a test. Coach, I think obviously the NBA has been using this lately, and it's working really well. They're talking about it with the NFL. College football, Coach, this could be a tremendous game changer. This won't prevent you from getting the coronavirus, but we're talking about testing. That's been a big-time important part, especially when you look at somebody like Liberty, which Hugh Freeze came out and said, well, we haven't had a positive test in 3 weeks. We haven't tested anybody in a couple weeks, but still, we had no symptoms. This is awesome, Coach. This could be really big if this works out.
Oh yeah, it's huge. You're right, JP. And the other thing that really helps colleges is, and you've mentioned this, is now the number of times that they can, should they decide to do so, that they can test these kids. And for the smaller colleges, it puts them back in the protection mode now, as opposed to taking the chances that they were taking before. Liberty's a good example. And this is a great example of why some conferences went to conference-only play. Because now the team, I think Liberty has 3 ACC games, teams with 3 ACC teams, but by releasing the fact that they had not tested in 2 weeks, that violates the protocol of the ACC. So you got Syracuse and West Virginia and Virginia Tech, I think. Those teams that were going to play Liberty are now thinking about having to go a different route, because the protocols aren't the same that they have to live up to and keeping their kids safe. So you can see it's a great example of why conferences wanted to stay within their own conference, because they could control the protocols and control the safety issues for their players. Again, I think the big question is going to be how they control the problem that they're going to have with students on campus and the mingling with the players and students, because students aren't going to be subjected nearly to the protocols that players will. And then do you just throw all that out the window and let them hit the streets with the students or sit in the classes with them? I don't think so. So anyway, they're going to come up with the teams that come up with an answer there that they can get, that their academician, their presidents and leaders within the community and within the college will okay and sanction, are going to be the ones that have the least problems, believe me.
Yeah, 100% agree, Coach. And when we talk about all this, obviously, we see schools like South Alabama, they're pushing forward. And South Alabama is supposed to kick off here in a couple weeks against Southern Miss. It's tough right now, obviously, for schools like that. This is a game changer. Now, here in the next week and a half to 2 weeks, this test is supposed to be introduced to the schools. This is a game changer when it comes to, obviously for everybody, it helps, but it's a game changer to a lot of schools like a South Alabama that doesn't have the money that everybody does, like you were talking about. And like you said, though, the question is going to be, how do these guys go about their business when it's off the field? I mean, you got to stay away from these parties and things like this. It's simply, how serious are you about playing football? Reading, talking to some of these people from South Alabama. Look, even Devin Voisin, and look, I covered Devin Voisin, high school football from Crestview High School right there. Phenomenal, by the way. The Voisin brothers, awesome. But, look, they understand. They said, look, it's tough already because we go out here, we practice each and every day, and we don't even know if it's for anything right now. We don't know if we're going to play, but we can't worry about that. And the mental side of that, by the way, people, if you've ever played, it's tough. I can't imagine going out there and practicing and putting all this effort. And not to say, obviously, you don't train, but getting ready for a season that may never happen. That's the tough part about this. But for these guys, they say, look, we know what we have to do on the field, but even more importantly, we know what we have to do off the field if we're serious about playing. And we can only control what we can control. We can't control anybody else. And that is a awesome mentality going forward, because that's what it's going to take. You can only control yourself, but if everybody controls what they need to control in this and does what they need to do, then we'll be okay, because you put yourself in the best position to play football. That's being said with all the sports.
JP, let me interrupt here just a minute. What I'm talking about is something a little more drastic than that. I would agree with you totally. But I don't think that you can put that responsibility on 80, 90, whatever number you have on your football team of 17, 18, 19-year-old kids and expect it to hold up. They're going to be around these students. They're going to go to some fraternity parties. They're going to do whatever. I think what they have to do is have a combination of both. Now, what are you going to do when they go sit in class every day with 30, 40 people in class, 20 or 25 or 30, whatever, and in the halls, study halls, and so on that they're responsible for going to? That's exposure that's going to be difficult to overcome. And they got to find some way to have the same school learning experience, but it can't be day in, day out around that many students, because if you think those students are going to be out every night and then do parties, and then they come into the classroom and they bring it in the classroom and your football team is in there, that's what I'm talking about. It's going to be very difficult. Yeah, they're going to have a lot of responsibility put on them, but they're going to have to do something about their contact with all the students that are on campus. That's the big part that I'm talking about that's going to be so difficult.
Yeah, that's well said, Coach. I get you. I understand. It's it is a lot of player responsibility, but at the same time, you can't just go about it business as usual and hope things work out. That's there's going to have to be some changes. That is a very valid point, and for a lot of people, look, it's funny because we talked about this when the Big Ten made their decision, and people are like, well, what you're going to force these players to go through, that's just selfish, and yet now we're looking at the parents up here for these Big Ten schools that are like, hey, let's play football. This is what we want to do. We know what the risks are. The schools did a great job. Well, you know what? We want answers. We want to know why. Don't just tell us, oh, well, our medical expert says it wasn't safe. Okay, why? Well, why? What was different 6 days ago than it was when you released the schedule? That's what we want to know. So, with all that being said, it's going to be interesting enough. And look, we're going to go to a quick break here. When we come back, well, we'll talk about some Georgia football, as well as, well, some interesting topics on some quarterbacks that are being quite disrespected, and we'll tell you why. All that more when we come back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight is up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight. And we will beat this pandemic.
Hey, what's up? Chad here from the Sports Drive. Well, we're into August, that first time that we start to feel the flow for football season.
Foosball.
Like getting ready to run out of the tunnel to a song like Enter Sandman. Might be a little different this year. Probably no smoke, social distance away from the people, as you might get cheered on by virtual fans.
You can do it!
But overall, we're excited, and we'll keep you posted with the latest updates from high school, college, and the NFL. Join myself, Chad Brillante, and JP right here on the Sports Drive, 5 to 7 on ESPN Pensacola.
For your ridiculous facts, I'm JP. The referee tossed a jump ball after every basket in basketball until 1937. That may be the reason the average points per game per team was 35, and now it's 112. And PETA, you may want to cover your ears on this one. It takes 3,000 cows to supply the NFL with enough leather for a year's supply of footballs. That's a lot of steak. That's your ridiculous facts. I'm JP.
Hey, this is Chad Brillante from the Afternoon Sports Drive, and you're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson. This Monday afternoon, hopefully you had a great weekend. Started off right here with us. Appreciate you joining us. Jumping back into this, Coach, some Georgia football news. Obviously the Dogs are getting ready for the season like everybody else. They have quite the quarterback room. Well, right now it's a little tough. Now, obviously they're starting their practice today. Georgia quarterback JT Daniels, remember the transfer from USC right there, has not yet been cleared from his torn ACL. They believe that, well, he's hoping to be cleared soon, but obviously we'll see what happens. With that being said, Coach, Jamie Newman, remember this is the flavor of the year here when we talk about the Wake Forest quarterback, the one that is supposed to take them to the next level. The young man that I'm sure. I mean, everybody's got the hype. I'm a little skeptical because once again, he comes from the ACC, he comes from a team like Wake Forest. He's a good player. But to say that he is probably the best quarterback in the SEC, I will have to halt on that one until I am proven wrong. But with that being said, he has been in a walking boot for quite some time. This has just now came out, obviously. He's rehabilitating a foot injury. They believe he will be ready today, but they don't know to what capacity. Coach, when you look at this is, look, there's still plenty of time here. But you got two quarterbacks, one in a boot and one that still haven't been cleared. We're already talking about it's tough enough when you don't have the practices and things you can do normally. Does this worry you at all if you were a Georgia fan?
Well, it would worry me more if I were a Georgia coach. That's for sure. But there would be some concern there anytime that somebody's in a walking boot. They've obviously been limited in what they could do to prepare from a conditioning standpoint and drops and all the other things that you have to be able to do. So I'd be concerned about that. And then who knows, having not been cleared, that seems to be something that would be a concern. They certainly have time. My goodness. Some of the others that we've heard about have been cleared very quickly. So I'd be a little concerned about that one too. The thing that's interesting is their high-octane freshmen that they recruited could end up overcoming both of the so-called veteran leaders in the two transfers from Wake Forest and Southern Cal and end up being their quarterback. So that would be ironic, but interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm reading here, going through the timeline this morning. Now, I'm seeing where JT Daniels has been cleared before practice. So JT Daniels is good to go. What fashion we'll see, but not seeing anything yet on Jamie Newman. But that it is what it is. Redshirt freshman quarterback Dwan Mathis, he was cleared in May from the brain surgery he underwent in May of 2019. So, Vandegrift comes in next year, Coach. You're talking about this quarterback that, you know what, all these other quarterbacks, it may not matter. I mean, who knows? But Brock Vandegrift's the number one quarterback right there for 2021. This young man may take the cake, but this year, boy, this is a talented quarterback room. But, boy, you're talking about, look, DeJuan Mathis cleared in May from brain surgery. Yikes. But, hey, Georgia fans, it is what it is. I know you're just ready. And as a Florida fan myself, Coach, I'm excited about the Gators. Glad to be on your side now. So it is what it is. We'll see what happens, though. And, look, as we get news, obviously we'll continue to update you here. I do want to update. This just came out. Gerald McCoy, the Cowboys' 6-time Pro Bowl defensive lineman, ruptured his quad tendon and is out for the year. That is not good news for the Cowboys right there. They're trying to revamp that defense, and they've signed an Everson Griffin the other day. He was going to join McCoy. Well, McCoy is out, though. So, Cowboys fans, sorry about that, but I'm just reporting the news. Coach, I want to get into this real quick. Go ahead.
Well, that's terrible news for the Cowboys, but it's a good thing they cushioned that defensive line position now, for sure.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Getting Everson Griffin was supposed to be extra, and now good thing you made that move. That is big time. So, with that being said, Coach, I do want to talk about some people that a little disrespected, and a couple names out here that people may scoff at. And if you scoff at, well, then this whole segment is for you. Jimmy Garoppolo and Derek Carr. And, Coach, I'll start with Jimmy G here. Obviously, what Jimmy G did last year was fantastic and helped, leading that 49ers team, which, by the way, if you don't believe that he's worth it and he's a very good quarterback, look at who they had in his spot before. I know people say, well, that defense led him all the way. Yeah, the defense was a big part of it, but you still have to have offense. And when you look at the team without him, winning, 4 games it was? Yeah, it's a little bit different. Now, obviously, when you look at Jimmy G, he's looked upon as a 2-time Super Bowl champ, obviously, with the Patriots, and you look at what he did there. Even when he started for the Patriots, he did a great job. But this young man, Coach, is 21-5. Has almost a 68% completion percentage. And, look, he just doesn't turn the ball over a lot. He still averages 8.3 yards an attempt there, which is pretty good. People say he's a game manager. I think he plays the way he's supposed to play built on a team like that. And when you look at last year, let's call this what it is. They had running backs that weren't big-name running backs. They could run the football. They had a good offensive line. Yeah, they had a good defense. When you look at the wide receiver position, they had good receivers, not great receivers. There's no superstar on that team. You're not going to get me to believe that Emmanuel Sanders is a superstar, by the way. But with that being said, Coach, I want to start with Jimmy G here. We'll move to Derek Carr in a minute. But Jimmy G, 21-5. Everybody wants to talk about, do you win the games? Do you win the games? How do you perform in the games? He does a little bit of both. And, Coach, when you look at last year, he did what he was supposed to do. People want him to do more. But the offense didn't dictate that. Kyle Shanahan didn't have to go out and win all these games. And everybody looks upon that one pass that he missed in the Super Bowl. Well, if he made that pass, they'd have won. Well, remember, they had a 10-point lead on him right there. But, Coach, I just think Jimmy G is a highly disrespected quarterback, and he deserves a lot more than what he gets.
Well, there's no question about it. I've said many times on this show, I'd love to have Garoppolo as my quarterback. Listen, what he's done speaks for itself. And you have to understand that if you don't have a quarterback, most likely you're not going to get to the Super Bowl, much less win it. So you got to look at what he's done and his completion average. Just amazing. And when he had to step in as a youngster in New England, he had to step in, and he stepped in and came up big and won. Every time he's been a starter on the football team, they've won. Now, I don't see any way that people can continue to, or why they would continue to want to cast dispersion on this young man, but they do, and they want to turn to very quickly. It's almost synonymous now with his name that many people in the sports announcing field, you say Garoppolo, and they want to point to, as you have just said, they want to point to that one overthrown pass in the Super Bowl. Now, you got to be kidding me. They had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, and there's no way if you had a great defense, I don't care what they did on offense, that you should lose that ball game. But at any rate, having said that, Garoppolo is a heck of a quarterback, and he's certainly not received the credit that he deserves.
That's absolutely right. And, Coach, another quarterback that I look at and obviously hasn't been in the big games yet for who he plays for. That's probably the biggest reason here. John Gruden's team over with the Raiders. Now they're the Las Vegas Raiders. Just the other day, I find it funny. And, look, it is what it is. I've went through this. Remember, I'm a Titans fan, so I went through this whole Marcus Mariota thing. But John Gruden raved about Marcus Mariota and how great he's done. And the very next day, the practice, the players were apparently getting pretty upset at him because he was missing wide-open targets, wide-open guys, throwing it at their feet, throwing it way over their heads, not even close, taking too long in the pocket and forcing to run there. Guys were getting a little upset. And, and I know there's still more time. But once again, like I said, I've been through this whole Marcus Mariota thing before. I know how I feel is going to play out. I hope the best for him because he's a great human being. And he's an athlete. He is an athlete, but he is what it is. But anyway, Coach, when you look at Derek Carr, now Derek Carr is tired of being disrespected, and people like, yeah, well, Derek, you're tired of being disrespected. Well, then put up or shut up. That was even one of their radio broadcasters that said that, and I laugh because let's go back and look at what Derek Carr has. I mean, even last year. Okay, last year, Coach, he threw for over 4,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. By the way, he's never had more than 13 interceptions in a season. 70%, over 70% completion percentage. They went 7-9 last year, and that's a team that really, I mean, when you look at it, it shouldn't have gone 7-9, but they're not that good. So when you look at it, he had Tyrell Williams and Hunter Renfrow. I love Hunter Renfrow from Clemson, but Hunter Renfrow is not supposed to be a standout receiver, but he was looked upon as one. Outside of that, they have Darren Waller and, yes, Josh Jacobs. Those are two bright spots for them. But, Coach, this team is built well, it's a little bit different. I know they added Jason Witten this year. They've got Henry Ruggs. They got some speed now to help him out. But, Coach, when you look at Derek Carr, I mean, this is a guy that continues to go out and perform. No, he's not a superstar because you even take some of these guys like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and take away their weapons, and they don't look like superstars. It doesn't mean they're a bad player. It's you can only do so much with what you're given. I mean, it goes back to even guys like Jimmy Garoppolo. They don't have superstars on the offensive side of the football outside of, obviously, George Kittle. You got a great tight end, but you need some guys on the outside running deep. But, Coach, when I look at Derek Carr and the disrespect that he's gotten from his coach John Gruden sometimes, it's just, for me personally, I would love to see Derek Carr in another jersey for a team that would support him. But this seems like it's going to be another year and another mess for the Raiders.
Well, I would agree with you. I certainly don't think that Carr has been given the supporting cast that other quarterbacks had, and he's with what he's had to endure. Because I take a look at the protection too that the Raiders have offered him. It's not very good.
No,
he gets hit quite a bit, and lack of outstanding receivers. He just has not had the surrounding cast that you would hope as a quarterback you get. I think he's been a productive quarterback. I think you can win with him if you upgrade the talent around him. And maybe some other things that are inherently necessary for a quarterback to be a winning quarterback and totally efficient, which includes game planning and the schematics involved there from the coaching staff. I'm not sure about all that, but I will say that he has performed pretty well. I like Carr, and I think if they lost him for some reason and had to replace him, they might find themselves in quite a mess.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, Coach, we've talked about it off air. Marcus Mariota, a great guy, not an NFL quarterback. So if they go that route, if he wants to be bold, hey, all the best for you. But look, it's just not the route you want to go. But it is what it is. Regardless, they had a good offseason, so we'll see what happens with them. Getting Henry Ruggs will definitely help, but you still have to build some more talent around him. Regardless, Coach, we're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back here, Joe Theismann talking about Alex Smith. Now, Alex Smith, the quarterback there for the Washington football team, that's what they're called, the Washington football team, is now off the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list. So now he is going to compete for that starting job. And Joe Theismann talks a little bit about he doesn't care whether he starts or not. He deserves an award. What is that award? We'll tell you when we come back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
Looking for future leaders we can believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Florida. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It includes learning to listen, accepting responsibility, being a good role model, and it's about respect. The result, it transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. This message presented by the Florida High School Athletic Association and the Florida Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. Like the greatest pound-for-pound boxer of all time, Roy Jones Jr.
Three-time light heavyweight world champion and former heavyweight champion of the world, future Hall of Fame legend, Roy Jones Jr.
What up? This is your boy Roy Jones Jr. and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
The greatest name in sports radio is ESPN. Wherever you have Alexa, you can hear ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Just say,
Alexa, enable ESPN Pensacola 1330 skill.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson. On this Monday afternoon, hope you're doing well. Coach, look, Joe Theismann, he's been on this show. He's a great friend of ours here. He obviously went through a unbelievable leg injury, and the only person that's went through this is when Alex Smith. Obviously, we know Alex Smith more recently went through this injury. Joe Theismann, by the way, said, look, he's gone through a lot more than I had to go through. And he's talking about a award that typically, awards aren't given before games are starting, but Joe Theismann believes that they should be when it comes to this one right here. For Joe Theismann, he said, for me, it was a question of the leg healing and trying to do certain things required of the quarterback position. He goes, Alex came within 24 hours of losing his leg. I didn't wind up with complications. He wound up with a tremendous amount of complications. It was just healing from a broken leg. The mountain he had to climb is so much greater. No matter what happens, he's already won the award for the Comeback Player of the Year. He said he's pulling for him from day one. In the beginning, everyone told him that he would never play again. He goes, I never bought that. Knowing Alex, as I've come to know him and the determination he had, Now he has a chance to go out and do certain things and win the starting job. Coach, when we look at this, obviously I know that Joe Theismann is a close friend of yours as well. Look, what Alex Smith has gone to go through, he's right. Regardless, I would agree with this when you're talking about the comeback player of the year. Not that Alex Smith really cares. He wants to play football and wants to win football games. But when you look, Coach, now that he is obviously off the PUP list here, first off, that's just amazing that he's back. Do you believe, I know we've talked about it a little bit, do you believe that he has a legitimate shot of winning that quarterback battle in Washington?
He'll be the most productive quarterback that they can put on the field. There's no doubt in my mind about that. He's always been a productive quarterback in the league, and with his determination, his experience, his ability to do the things that mature, experienced quarterbacks, smart quarterbacks too, he's a very bright guy, can do as far as recognizing coverages, matchup situations, changing protections, going from run to pass at the appropriate time and pass to run at the appropriate time. All the help that he can give them. If I had to choose one right now, certainly to open the season, if he can do it physically, which I would assume he can, and they wouldn't have passed him, I would certainly be looking at him early in the season. I think he gives them the best chance to win.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. And look, it's awesome. You know, when all this stuff happened, obviously it was horrific, but just the fact that Alex Smith, we're talking about him playing football, and now we're talking about him obviously trying to get that starting job, which I agree with you. I think, look, if he's healthy and he can do physically, which now he's off the PUP list, it's a good sign. This is a guy that I wouldn't hesitate to give him that starting job, but we'll see. We'll see what Dwayne Haskins and all those guys, Kyle Allen, do as well. But, Coach, real quick here, obviously, Matt LaFleur, his first impression on Jordan Love as training camp has started now, simply said that there is a lot to clean up right now. He said, look, he's very natural, but he's a very young quarterback. He's got a lot of things to work on when it comes to footwork. It's going to take some time. I think he's intelligent and very athletic, but we got a lot to work on here. Coach, this is what you've said the entire time. Any surprise on Matt LaFleur's comments on there's a lot to clean up right now?
Well, whoever was responsible for drafting him, the team should be cleaning up on them. That's the first thing that should happen. That was an unbelievably terrible draft pick for a football team that was one game away from getting to the Super Bowl last year. And to draft a guy who many scouts, as I've said, I've told you before, scouts I've talked to had him third round or later in the draft. And to move up, trade and move up to draft him in the first round, you've got to be kidding me. That has to be one of the all-time bad deals. We'll talk about one day some of the bad deals, bad draft choices. But this has to be, as it stands right now, would have to be one of them.
Yeah, we both agree on this, Coach, as well as probably a lot of Packers fans, too. We know Aaron Rodgers does, but, hey, you know, it is what it is. We'll see what happens. A lot to clean up. That's not what I would want to hear if I'm a Packers fan right now, but, hey, whatever. But, Coach, that sound means it's time for us to go. As usual, we didn't get to everything, but you know what? We'll give it our best shot tomorrow, but it's been an absolute pleasure, Coach.
You bet. A lot to look forward to. Things are getting close, and so we'll have it every day. Look forward to it.
Absolutely, Coach. Getting excited over here. I know we're both optimistic, obviously. And, look, we appreciate you guys tuning in to talk football with Coach K. As we get updates, obviously we'll be letting you know. We'll be talking about it every day. And remember, the SEC is going to release the schedule tonight at 6 o'clock on SEC Network. You're not going to want to miss it, as well as Escambia County. We'll talk about when they're going to start high school football. Once again, we'll keep you updated right here every day on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
The rest of the country, I just want to say that when I was a little boy growing up on the corner of Main Street and Marketplace in Middle America there, I always dreamed of the time that I would come back and make my return via the national airwaves, and here I am. Just a nice Middle American boy hoping to enter into all those markets, all 300 markets, both hours of this show. NBA playoffs are like right now, as in right now. Who's underway already? Denver and Utah, right? Raj. That's right. I can't hear you, Raj. I don't think the people can hear you either. There you are.
Yes.
Listen, you're the producer. You're supposed to know what buttons to press. At the very least, push the right buttons.
There's a lot of buttons.
Yeah, right.
Denver
You're going in
and
and
the
out.
Jazz
You're going in and out. We're off
underway.
to Yeah, excellent. Porter Jr., by the way, has been a revelation. I mean, like, he really was the X factor, right? Like, in that draft, but what about his health? And is he going to be healthy? But if he's healthy, he might be a next-level talent. It looks that way. And they could be live. Strange things are going to happen this year, it feels like. The last time there was a work stoppage, like, when was the last time an 8 seed beat a 1 seed? Or made it to the finals, rather. 8 seed made it to the finals when the Knicks were an 8 seed. In 99, got beaten by the Spurs. They were without Patrick Ewing, the Knicks. It probably wouldn't have mattered. It probably wouldn't have changed the outcome of the series. But still, weird things happen in seasons like that, and that wasn't like this. So you got to keep your, the number one problem the NBA's always had is that the NBA, what it has going for it is in the best of 7, the nature of basketball is such where you can run all your best plays through your best players. So the better team usually wins. And in a best of 7, the best team almost always wins. Baseball, there's much more